Hello, everybody. This is candidate Teresa B. Wakefield Gamble. Today is election day, and I just wanted to come on live today to remind everyone. I know we're busy and we're trying to do life, but we have to make time today to cast our vote. This election is very serious and it's very important. Make sure you are understand what identification you need to bring to the voting site location. That is very important. You don't want to have any excuse why you cannot cast your vote today. Individuals who are still using fraudulent information that was reported fraudulent, I will be mindful. That's why we have to do our own homework on every candidate that's on the ballot for the primary as well as the general election. We cannot allow others to influence our vote. We have to be able to make sure that when we vote, we're voting for the right representation in office this election season. We have experienced and seen a lot of that in our local city council government that is Republican led, that did not want to pass legislation on protecting African Americans or Black Americans in the Newtown neighborhood from the assassination attempt on 3 lives that we will be celebrating on this coming Sunday, August the 25th. Personally, for myself, that will be a double day of grieving because that's the 1-year anniversary also of my mother passing, which was in my old neighborhood I grew up in. So I just want to come on and let you guys know it's very important you vote. Some of you may have to do it on your lunch. Some of you have to do it probably before you pick your children up from school or from daycare or aftercare. Some of you may have to take your kids with you. But all I'm saying as a candidate and also as a voter, which I have already voted early. I voted vote by mail a while back in June. So I can make sure that my vote is counted and my voice is heard. Also, I have sponsored and partnered with Night Enterprises to make sure King Butler Enterprises was offering, we partnered together to provide free transportation for those of you that need a ride to vote. If you still need that opportunity, her number is 904-618-1985. This was available on the last day of early voting. And I'm quite sure she will be available to assist anyone who needs to get to the polls today. I want to also take the time to thank all the amazing donors and the volunteers who did things with their time, talent, and treasures that I was aware of and wasn't aware of. So I appreciate all of that. What I want to talk about today is what is at stake. I've been mentioning this entire campaign about catching and killing Project 2025. Especially Chapter 11 in Project 2025 to dismantle the Department of Education, as well as to get rid of public schools. I want you all to take a minute to think. If you shift and move your children out of public schools and put them in charter or private schools, and they have no oversight by the state, so that means any money that you pay, any scholarship money that's being paid to them, you have no recourse to fight to get it either refunded or repurposed back to you. What if your child is not, all of a sudden, was not academically thriving in that environment? And if all the public schools are closed, then what option would you have? Are you in the position to homeschool your child if every public school is closed and do all that? I just want you to marinate on that question. The way the cost of home ownership and rent is going, we have food deserts, which is hard for us to get food. It's hard for us to get health care because we have to choose whether or not we're going to go to the doctor, get our medicine, or eat, or even pay rent. So you need to take these things into consideration. This legislation impacts everyone on your quality of life. And the person that you're choosing to elect has to have that same heart for you or have had that same experience. If they have not had that experience of have to worry about feeling safe at night or being able to go to sleep in peace at night, waking up every morning knowing your rent is paid and your refrigerator is full of food, how are they going to be able to relate to where you are? with kitchen table conversation issues that we often talk about and share. So you need to keep that in mind on who you're electing. Also, the individual needs to have expertise. They need to have experience, either in the classroom as a teacher or an administrator, or had a personal experience as a student. We have to use wisdom, ladies and gentlemen, in Duval County. We cannot allow other people to skew our perspectives and our beliefs. Is Teresa perfect? No, she is not. But Teresa have lived experiences of all the issues that I'm addressing that I know you all have experienced one time or another, or know someone who has. So I want to admonish you to make sure that you're making the right choice. I gave you the facts in my campaign. I did not fabricate and make up anything. My opponent voting record does not align with the Democratic values of the Democratic Party that she's a member of. Mr. Lord Cockley, I have no clue of who he is and what he stands for, only what's on the website and only what's he put in the article with reporters. But there is no real community advocacy where where his campaign is concerned. And then we have a write-in candidate that we don't know anything about. So technically, the only two people that's really running in this primary House District 14 race in this primary is the current incumbent, because she's trying to get reelected, which she's not, because she's not a real Democrat. And the reason I say that is her voting record. Go to the Florida People report card. She has a F. How can you serve your people and your report card for people issues is a F? Just think about that. When you were in school, you know what an F means. So we have to use wisdom. And when we're selecting candidates, we just can't be influenced by someone who has a long-standing reputation in our community who align with those particular type of values. That does not represent the Democratic Party. And that has been my stance and my issue, because this race has been partisan. Individuals did not want to vote against their own party member. But when the party member who's holding the office no longer votes and support for the values for you and your family and your community, and you pay taxes, it's time to do a mental check. It's time to do a records check. That's why I said in my title, did you vote? Did you take 5 people with you to go vote? Everybody in your house should be voting who are voting age eligible. Why? Because we're not just voting for now, we're voting for the future of our children. Because they do not have the lived experiences of what slavery was like. They do not have the lived experiences of what happened here in Jacksonville on Axe Handle Saturday. Now you can talk to Mr. Rodney Hurst or either buy his book to learn more, but Mr. Hurst walked in that experience. And that's why we have the elderly, our matriarchs and patriarchs of the community who are still in this fight for civil rights activism and movement, and to keep our freedoms and democracies, because we still have not accomplished that goal yet. There are still individuals in this world wants to take us back to a place and a space that we have far long left behind. I was born right after the civil rights era. My husband was born a year after the Civil Rights Act was passed. So we are Generation X individuals, and we know what it was like going to school in Duval County. We know what it was like working on these jobs where you're doing all the work and you don't get the livable wage raises because you're not the person of the color they won't represent in their organization. I have walked in those shoes. I have experienced that marginalization, that disenfranchisement, the lack of getting paid for what you're worth. I've been there. So I'm not making up the stories. I'm not saying anything. I'm telling you, and I'm speaking the truth. So we need to go vote today. If you're listening, if you're watching, tag somebody, share this live. And yes, I'm driving around. I'm visiting precincts today. So I'm in the district and I'm stopping through because I want to make sure that we're voting and things are being done decent and in order, and nobody is being harassed and hackled for them to secure their vote. This supervisor elections, they have new voting machines. So that's why you need to have patience so you can learn how to navigate. So you make sure that whatever you voted for on that screen is printed on your ballot. So make sure you verify your ballot before you leave the precinct. Because if you leave the precinct, they will say ain't nothing they can do. You stay there and you ensure that your vote is taken care of. And if you have a problem, you can call 255-VOTE. That's Jerry Holland. He's the supervisor of election. And you need to report your issue and let your candidate know that you voted for the problems you're having. We can't stop this voter suppression if you don't say anything. You have to report it. You have to report what you see. This is not the time to be quiet. So I'm asking for you to make sure you do the right thing. Make sure you vote. Take 5 people with you. Take your children. They need to experience that civic engagement, duty, responsibility that we need to do, that we should do, so they can be the next generation of voters for the next 50 years and secure and keep our democracy and our freedoms. We got to fight back to get women's rights protections back. We need to legalize marijuana so we can decriminalize people who need it to help with healthcare issues. And the revenue from the marijuana can help increase our teacher pay and also help with public safety issues and other issues that our government needs assistance with. Because we have a current governor that sits in office and reject billions of dollars to come to our community to address basic essentials and basic necessities that we need. I just learned yesterday in Escambia County in Century City, Florida, the sewer water line broke. And Ron DeSantis vetoed the bill of $205 million for water sewage intervention and protection. So that whole entire city does not have no water. And this is in Florida, y'all. And none of the elected officials from the mayor on down couldn't be nowhere to be found. We don't need that type of representation in office on the state level or the local level or on our school boards. So this is why it's important we need to vote. I need you voting for right representation. I am running for Florida House District 14, which is the largest majority district in Florida. That is where a lot of our Black and brown sisters and brothers reside, and our Black and brown children. We got to show up and stop being complacent. Primary elections do matter. If you want to keep the incumbent in office who is not a real Democrat, she has not put one dime back into the district. She has allowed affordable housing to shoot through the roof. She has allowed the homeowners insurance premiums to shoot through the roof. She have not tried to put food deserts in our district. All of you have to go outside of the district to get groceries. Many of you work outside of your district to make a livable wage. We need climate change. Many of you are still on septic tanks. That's why it's time for a new voice and a new advocate for Florida House District 14. And I'm asking for your vote today. And I'm asking you to tell others to vote for me today. Tag them in this live stream. Let them know and ask them the question, did you vote today? Don't talk about the candidates. Don't talk about what you like and you don't like. The main question today for everybody, did you vote? Because if you do not vote, you do not have the right to complain when things don't change and they remain the same. And you constantly keep struggling and keep trying to make ends meet and keep trying to rob Peter to play Paul. Keep trying to make sure your children have food on their in their stomach, clothes on their back, shoes on their feet. Try to make sure you can pay the health insurance so you can take care of your health and improve your quality of life. What about on your neighborhood, in your street? Do you have potholes? Is lights still constantly being knocked out? Do you have long-term construction that's going on the interstate that the state representative is responsible to make sure it is completed in a timely fashion? Or if there's issues, to investigate to find out what the problem is. This is the type of representation that is needed, is to get to the root of the problem and come with a solution. Because the person that holds the seat, they are holding the power and the voice of you as voters. And when they do not vote and they do not advocate for your voice and your rights, then they know they have vacated themselves out of that seat. They are misusing power and misusing tax dollars. So I am coming on you here today. I want to tell you, I urge you to make sure you go vote today. I know we're doing life and our schedule don't allow it, but the polls are open till 7 p.m. tonight. If you don't have your voter registration card on you, make sure you have your driver's license on you, your passport, your military ID, and call 904-255-VOTE to find out where your voting precinct is located at today before you go. So you eliminate the stress and the frustration of trying to cast your vote. Then when you vote, make sure you go on DuvalElections.com and check your voting status. Make sure your ballot was processed, it was received, and your vote is counted. We have to do our own due diligence to protect our voting rights. Our ancestors, John Lewis, Dr. Martin Luther King, Fannie Lou Hamer, A. Philip Randolph, Susie Tabler. These individuals are drum majors who fought and died to make sure we keep this opportunity to vote to this day. And now, generation of leaders now and today needs to keep on carrying that torch to make sure we can vote now and our children can vote in the future. So being complacent and being mad and being fed up is not the answer. The solution is you need to vote today. After this primary election, tonight at 10 p.m. at the City Hall steps downtown, there will be a collective press conference for all candidates ran in the primary and that's running in the November 5th general election. We will be all come together tonight at 10 p.m. We need you to be there, or we need you to be live streaming, because we have to unite as a party. We have to put aside our personal feelings and issues, and we got to look at the greater picture of what is at stake. And the current governor is using Florida as his playground and pilot program for Project 2025 and the new name they done came up with, Amendment 47, to eliminate and take away all our rights and make Florida a law enforcement state where we are micromanaged in everything we do and how we live, how we work, how we learn, how we play, how we worship. That is not freedom, and that is not a democracy. So for him to have that sign coming into Florida, welcome to free Florida, that is not true. Look at the legislative laws that just went in effect July 1st. And then compare that to my opponent, how she voted. She aligned with Governor Santos on everything, including taking Black history out of school and revising it to alternative facts that does not support the lived experience of our ancestors. To my Black and brown, to my brown community members, I appreciate and I love all your support. I love you, I appreciate you, and I need you to make sure your family members are voting. Are you going to vote today? It's very imperative and important. It's attacking every ethnic group in Florida, one way or another. To my union members, I fought hard and I still fought hard. I believe in you as being blue collar workers, because we have to get legislation to protect y'all with safe heat working conditions. It's not fair that you have to work in labor and have to be in these heat conditions that create health problems that prevent you from providing for your family and putting food on the table and roof and shelter over their head. So I'm asking you, make sure you talk to your union brothers and sisters. Make sure you talk to the organizations that you're members of. Ask them the question, did you go vote today? Make sure you go vote today. This is candidate Teresa V. Wakefield Gamble. I am pushing forward to be the real Democrat for Florida House District 14 and aligning with the other candidates that's running in this primary and the general election so we can lift and support the top of the ticket in this November 5th election for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Also, I want to thank Joe Biden and Jill Biden for everything that you have done and served this country, especially through turbulent times and uncertain times during the pandemic. Your service has been unwavering, and you left a blueprint for many of us that's coming into public service to follow. And for that, I appreciate you. I will see you all this evening at 10 p.m. Share this live. Make sure you go vote. Call the supervisor of elections if you got questions, 904-255-VOTE, so you can make sure you got your plan in place and support the real Democrats that's on this ballot. Do your homework. I love you to life. I am putting community first because it's time to put people over profits. Remember, Duval County is the last frontier for democracy. Have a great day.